Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. I'm excited to have Ray Cairns joining me. Hi Ray.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You guys were amazing last year with my first book.
Some of you might know Ray's one of our associate authors, so great to have you on board this year. And you have been involved before in the group, which has been really great. So
Yeah,
thanks.
I've just loved. I love this group. It's a very inclusive community, and there's so many great books. My TBR just keeps on
I
growing.
know, yeah, just keeps adding more and more all the time.
Yeah.
So, just a bit about Ray. Ray writes crime with heart, thrillers featuring everyday people facing extraordinary circumstances. Her debut novel, The Good Mother, was shortlisted for Best Debut Crime Fiction in the 2021 Ned Kelly Awards and longlisted for the 2021 Sisters in the Crime David Awards and draws on her background as a youth worker in Northern Ireland during the final years of the Troubles. Ray's second novel, Dying to Know, is a standalone Sydney-based thriller and centres around a woman's determination to uncover what happened to her missing sister. Ray has also co-managed a crisis refuge for street children, worked as a program director for the Sydney Olympic Youth Camp, and holds a degree in performing arts. She is currently busy writing her third novel, and Ray lives in Sydney with her husband, two children, and her dog Alfie, who snores at her feet when she writes.
Except that Alfie passed away.
Oh
I should have
no.
corrected that. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
But we've got a new puppy now called Cookie.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to hear
But
that.
I'm very happy to hear Alfie mentioned he was a big part of both these books, both my books.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
very. I've had one of my puppies passed away in December, so
Oh, I'm so
totally
sorry.
feel for you. Mm.
Mm.
So also wanting to mention if you're watching, thanks to HarperCollins. If you ask a question during the Facebook Live, you'll have a chance to win your own copy of Dying to Know. And I can see you've got lots of copies there, and I've got my copy here.
Okay.
Just wanted to say I finished reading it probably a couple of days ago, and it was 5 stars for me. Really, really loved
Oh,
it.
thank you.
Loved the characters. Really felt attached to the characters, and needed to keep reading it to find out what was going to happen.
Oh, thank you so much. You've made my day.
So, wondering if you want to start off by telling us a little bit about Dying to Know.
Yeah, look, it opens with a budding journalist, Geneva Layton, receiving a phone call that changes the entire course of her life. Her terrified sister is on the line. She's trapped in the boot of a moving car, no idea who her abductor is, and she's begging Geneva for help. And then the line drops out.
Mm,
Um, so while the police search for Amber, Geneva's filled with guilt. She has the belief that it's her fault that Amber was kidnapped. And she takes over the care of her very young niece and nephew. Her days are filled with looking after them, and the days turn into months, turn into years. So when shocking new evidence emerges, Geneva's absolutely desperate for answers. But to get them, she's going to have to go up against her brother-in-law's, the power of her brother-in-law's family. They're in politics,
mm,
and the muscle of a formidable motorcycle gang, and take on the questionable support of a policeman who betrayed her in the first month of the
mm,
investigation. So the
mm.
closer she gets to the truth, the more danger she's in.
Mm. And could you share with us like what your first thought was for this book?
Well, the spark of the idea for it came from listening to a young woman talk about how her family and their lives had totally changed when her brother went missing.
Mm,
And it really struck me, that idea of exploring this story about those left behind, and the changes that having someone missing has on them. And, from the children through to the husband, the mother, and even the police officers involved in the investigation. So that was my initial kind of starting point. And then I am incredibly nosy, so I tend to listen into conversations and everything. And I'm also always asking, what if? I just, my brain is constantly questioning, what if this happened? What if? So we were traveling behind a Camry. We're going to an event. We were traveling behind a Camry, which is the old style boot. And I just was suddenly like, what if someone's in that boot? What if they're trying to get out right now? What would they be doing? Can you get out? Can you get your hand out the light? You know, all those things. So those ideas kind of came together. And then I knew I wanted to write my main character, Geneva, as a motorcycle rider. My husband and I had just started riding, and the world of motorcycles was just so interesting, the culture around it. But I also knew, you know, that there was a dark side to it all too. And so that's when I absolutely threw myself into research.
And we've got quite a few people watching, so just reminding people watching again, if you do have any questions for Ray, please type them in comments and you can have a chance to win your own copy of Dying to Know, thanks to HarperCollins. I've got a question from Kelly. She wonders if you were surprised how well received your first book was.
Oh, yes, because I had quite a topsy-turvy publishing journey. So it took me about 5 years to write The Good Mother, and I managed to get an agent, and which is everyone kept saying to me, oh, it's much harder to get an agent. And I managed that, and then she tried to sell the novel and no one took it on. And then so I took it back and did some work, and then put it back out to a different agent. She took me on and put it out to publishers. And again, there was a bit of interest this time, but it didn't get taken up. And then I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which put me back a few years. And then when I'd sorted that out, the medication, I went back to my agent and went, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to, you know, do this publishing thing now. And she said, I'm so sorry, I'm closing my business.
Oh, wow.
And that was a low point for me, but I had mentors. I'd worked with Catherine Hayman and a number of other authors, and my writing group and my writing friends got behind me and just went, you can do this. And so I actually self-published The Good Mother first in 2020, December 2020, and it was actually that version that was shortlisted. It's the same book, they just it was more I refined it more with HarperCollins, so the version that came out last year. So yeah, sorry, long answer, but yeah, absolutely astonished, because it was just such a twisty turny journey to get there, to get the book on the shelves.
And am I right in saying that it came out in audiobook first?
Yeah, so
because I listened to it before the
and in February 2021, I was contacted by Belinda Audio, a vision impaired, reader had sent it to them saying, I want to listen to this. And they offered me a contract. So my first contract was in audio.
Yeah, well, that's the first time I became aware of, like, I was looking through my borrow box to see what I should listen to next, and I found The Good Mother, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that was the first time.
The narrator's amazing. So I've got the same narrator for this book. I think the audiobook's just about to come out.
Oh, great. And Belinda said she loved this book, and she wonders if you know the ending when you begin writing.
No idea at all. So I do a heap of research. I really do. I spend quite a bit of time delving into all sorts of things. So for this book, my poor husband, I dragged into biker haunts, and we just kind of hung out, and I struck up conversations with people, and I even got to talk with an ex-Rebels bikie member. And then I also went and shadowed a policeman out west at a PCYC. And then I do a heap of reading, biographies, everything, and then I sit down to write, and I write in chronological order, but I kind of discover the story as I'm writing. It's like my subconscious takes all that research and all those ideas and the themes I kind of know I want to cover, and it just creates the story and it's there. You know, obviously in the editing process, it's a lot of work. This book I actually had to do speech to text for my first draft because my rheumatoid arthritis wouldn't let me sit down and type
really?
or handwrite. So it meant it was quite fast, my first draft, but it was really dialogue heavy. So I kind of, in my drafting process, editing process, I had to remedy that.
Yeah. And Rachel said it sounds like an action-packed story, and she wonders if you seeked advice from police in relation to investigative stores for the book.
Yes, I did. So I spent some time out at a PCY, a Police Citizens Youth Club, because the main police character is a youth police officer, and spent a day kind of shadowing people out there, but also talking to everybody involved there. And then I also have another police contact who's higher up, who actually dealt with Strike Force Raptor and various things, and he gave me some feedback and some pointers as well.
And
I think because I come from the perspective, the whole novel is written from the perspective of Geneva. It's not so much police procedural, but yes, I was checking the details.
And I'm interested to know, like you obviously did quite a bit of research, like you said, with bikies and with the police and that. Is there anything when you were doing your research that really surprised you?
How many bikie parties I got invited to?
And how did they go?
I didn't go, although my husband likes to tell the story how I seriously considered it for a minute. I didn't think it was a great idea for me to go along, as much as I would love to be there. Like, imagine like the things I could have learned. But yeah, look, the ex Rebels bikie member that I spent some time with, he really shared with me about the lifestyle, the day-to-day lifestyle, and also kind of why he wanted to be on the fringes of the bike scene, and his opinions on the police and the new bikie gangs and a whole on the airport brawl and all sorts of things. So it was that was amazing. I would have loved to have gone along to a party, but then I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it.
And Belinda says, how do you feel when a reader says that they've finished your book in 2 days after spending so long creating it?
Look, I love it. I think that it's such a compliment that someone commits that amount of time to reading something that you've done. And if it means they've done it in 2 days, that means they've put other things aside. And that's such a compliment. So, yeah, it brings me a lot of joy.
And Kelly says, how would you describe your book in 3 words?
Family, action. Oh, I don't know. The third word, what would I do? Family, action, belonging. There we are.
Yep, no, that's great. And Rachel, she's got a good question. She says, do you think your previous experience with co-managing a crisis refuge for street children gave you inspiration for Geneva's niece and nephew?
Absolutely. I mean, so when I worked in Northern Ireland, it was with young people as well. So I took away underprivileged kids, most of them kids of the IRA and the Protestant paramilitary EVF. I took them away on camps together because I worked there during the Troubles. And then I moved from that into the refuge here in Sydney, and just working with the kids of mostly kind of, well, it was supposed to be 12 to 17. It was more like 10 to 17. And that kind of, yeah, all sorts of people. I mean, everybody has the same needs. But I did a lot of work. It's interesting. A lot of people ask me, you know, oh, did you used to always write? And I don't know. I think I was always interested in story. And with the kids, I did a lot of music and drama, and I did the same when I was in Belfast. And then even working with the Olympics, my job was at the Olympic Youth Camp. So we had 400 teenagers from around the world, and it was our job to kind of write the program, and we did a lot of story with them as well.
And Belinda wonders if you can tell us anything about your next book.
It's a standalone again, another thriller. It's like a cross between Jodie Picoult's 19 Minutes and the movie The Fugitive, but with a female lead.
Okay, sounds intriguing. How far along are you with that?
I'm about a third at the moment. Yeah.
And Wendy wonders if you think you might write in another genre in the future.
I don't think so. I might write in varying areas of this genre, but it's where my brain goes. And I love writing crime because it gives me a real chance to throw my characters in really hot water. And I feel like that gives me a real chance to see what they're made of. So for the time being, and it's also, you can explore kind of societal themes and current affairs, and it's such a, for me, but it's where my brain goes. I mean, you can do that in other genres as well. It's just that's where my brain goes. But for the time being, no, wouldn't say definitely not for the future, but we'll see.
And Judith has an interesting question. She says, relatively, how important is plot versus character versus setting? Is one of these more compelling for you as a writer than the others?
Well, so I think character is compelling for me in the sense that it's very much about the psychology. I write because I'm trying to make sense of the world. I'm trying to understand why people do what they do. It's why I write ordinary characters and throw them in extraordinary situations. So I suppose for me, the plot kind of just comes along, and it's the way of testing my characters and revealing character. And it's really important to me that each of my characters are layered, not just my main characters. So yeah, the plot kind of tests them all out in a sense. And setting is important. And it was really fun to set this one in Sydney, and kind of because Sydney's got so many different subcultures and different areas and stuff. So that was fun to do. But yeah, for me, it's character, I think, is where I start.
And I have to say, as a reader, like I think I said at the start, it was your characters that really, really drew me into your book.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
And I can see you've got a lot of books there behind you. Can you tell us a little bit about what you like reading yourself, and maybe if there's something you've read that you'd like to recommend to us?
I read very broadly. I read. I have a non-fiction book on the go. I'll have and it might be a research-based book. And I have a upstairs book, which is kind of lighter reading before I go to bed. So at the moment, that is Beach Read by Emily Henry, which I'm really enjoying. And then I've got a downstairs, which is quite often crime, but I read in all sorts of genres as well. So at the moment, I'm one of the really exciting things about being an author is being sent advanced reader copies. And so this is Black Lies.
Yeah,
she wrote White Noise last year, so this is a sequel to that. And Dr. Laura Fleming is back, and she's a fantastic character, really well layered. And this time, there's like one of the most notorious inmates in the prison has just been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and she is sent in to convince him to share where his victim is buried, where the body is. But with each interview she does with him, she thinks that everything isn't quite as it seems, and so she's exploring that and learning. I haven't quite finished it yet, but yeah, I'm loving it.
I'll be looking forward to reading that one. I read her first one and loved it, so I'll be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and then Dark Mode, I loved that recently. What else? What else is on my shelf that I've loved? Oh, I always read a Michael Robotham. I love them.
Yeah.
So I tend to like, I think I like things where the characters, again, character-based stuff.
Mm,
Yeah. But
mm,
I'll also, read Natasha Lester, historical, and yeah, all sorts of
mm,
stuff.
mm. And Laura wonders, how do you do your research? Is it all online via books, or do you find experts you can interview?
Okay, so I tend to start with reading books. Just gives me the ideas of where I might want to go, and I read a lot of newspapers as well. And then I go to the settings that I'm kind of playing around with. So I spent a lot of time at Balmoral Beach, which was lovely.
Mm,
But I also went out west to the locations out there and get a feel for those. And then I interview. So in this, as I said, I went out into the biker haunts and just kind of talked to whoever would talk to me. So it was weekend bikers like us, but also people who were really into the lifestyle and had all the gear. Some of them
mm.
even had the gear for their dogs.
Oh.
It's amazing. It's such an interesting, yeah, group of people. And then and they even have like at one of at Jerry's, which is in the book, they even have a community library, like a little
Oh,
box.
really?
Yeah, it's just it's such this mix of people. And then I kind of went through to the kind of people that had dipped their toes in the outlaw biker scene.
Mm.
So it's mostly about hanging out in places, listening into conversation. I'm so
Mm.
nosy. I'm so sorry. And yeah, and talking with people.
Mm.
And then again with the police, it was spending a day just shadowing, watching at their interactions. Because I'd worked with a lot of police when I was at the refuge.
Mm.
Um, and I knew I wanted my character the character of the policeman in the book, Jesse, to be more like that, like the policemen I had worked with who were kind of everyday people who were trying to do the best they could at their job, and they make mistakes, and like all of us do, but they're well intentioned.
Mm.
I think that was, and they were the policemen I was working with. They really impressed me and as people. So I wanted to explore that this time rather than a dark brooding policeman or an alcoholic or whatever. So yeah, for me that was where I wanted to go. So yeah, spending the time there and talking to them about why they got into policing, why they chose the PCYC as opposed to murder squad,
Mm.
or any of the other areas of policing you could do, because it really interested me that they went into that part of policing, and they were all really passionate about that part of policing, how it was a
Mm.
way of kind of like breaking the family histories, or breaking the area, like going into crime or whatever. It gave them other options, the kids, and
Mm.
I really interested me.
Mm. And like Dying to Know is only recently out, but I'm sure you've had lots of reader feedback already. Is there anything you could share with us that maybe touched you or surprised you?
Um, I suppose. Look, I feel like I've been so like it's been out a week, and people have just been so generous and kind, getting in touch with me and
Mm.
letting me know they've enjoyed it. I had one reader who spoke, said she hasn't read a book in a long time, and she picked it up and couldn't put it down,
Oh,
and
well.
it's got her back into reading. And that, I mean, that's what a compliment. That is such a compliment. The one that kind of stays with me, and it's because this book hasn't been out that long, was With the Good Mother, where a woman wrote to me through my website and just said, my husband and I have been together many years, and he's from Northern Ireland, and he would never talk about anything in Northern Ireland.
Mm.
And he picked up The Good Mother and read it, and he shared with her his entire
Oh,
history after
wow.
reading it. It
Mm.
opened it up for him, and she said thank you, and that one made me cry,
Mm.
because that's pretty powerful.
Must feel great when you know you've helped someone like that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and it just kind of opened up a conversation between them.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Belinda wonders if there's going to be any sequel with more cases for Jesse.
Ooh, I'd love to write him again.
Mm.
He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so is Geneva. I mean, Geneva's just,
Mm.
she's a great character to write, because she's
Mm.
passionate and impulsive, but deeply loves and would do anything for her to, she wouldn't give up on anyone, but she's also rides a motorbike, and she's tough, and she's resourceful, and yeah, I'd love to. It's not my plan at the moment. I'll do this, finish the next one that I'm into, but yeah, that's a thought. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I know I would love to hear some more from them.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And is there anything special that you do when you finish a book? Anything special to celebrate or?
So I'm in a writing group with some 7 other amazing women. So Joanna Nell and Penelope Janu, Pamela Cook. I'm going to forget people. Michelle Barraclough. Anyway, Terry Green. They're amazing. Laura Boone, Angela Whitten. I think I got through them. But yeah, they're incredible women, and we always celebrate the wins, because there's a lot of, it's an up and down industry. So we always celebrate when somebody has a success, and finishing a novel is a huge success. So yeah, that's what I do. I celebrate with them, and I usually go out for dinner with my husband.
Nice. Yeah. And I had the pleasure of meeting you in person at the Bad Crime Festival, which was really, really great. I'm just wondering if you've got anything else coming up where people can meet you.
Look, there are a couple of events in the pipeline. I am definitely going to be in Adelaide for 2 library events, Marion Library, and I can't remember the name of the other library, so sorry, at the end of May. And then the 1st of June, I'm definitely at Sutherland Library. And then in September, I'm at Gordon Library. I'm going to be at Wallara Library, but I'm also going to Canberra and Melbourne and Queensland, but they're just figuring all those dates out. So if you go to my website, which is just breakhands.com, over the weekend I'll be putting up events, and I will just keep it updated. And I'll also maybe throw up an occasional post on Global Girls.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
you guys know.
Yeah, it would be
I'd love
good
to see you there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
To meet you. I'd love meeting you at Bad. It was great.
Yeah. And I think I might be wrong in my recollection, but are you at Rachel John's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm going to Adelaide.
I'm coming to that. So, and I know some other
fantastic.
members are coming to that. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you there.
That weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be amazing.
And that's not long away either.
No, it's exciting.
Well, thanks so much for chatting with me. It's been great to talk to you again, and making sure everyone goes out and buys Dying to Know. Totally loved it, and if you want a book that's going to keep you up all night, I would totally recommend it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much for having me on. It's just, like I said, I love this group. It's such a great book club.
And also thanks to all the questions. We had some really great questions.
They were good questions. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.